Allison and I ended up, by God's grace, getting married in 2016 and really felt like God was calling me, and Allison felt the same, to church planting. We were living in St. Paul. We got assessed. We're kind of ready and in the hopper for church planting, but we didn't know what God had for us. And so we had our first son, Chase, and then shortly thereafter had our second son, Brooks. When Brooks was 2 months old, he was diagnosed with Down syndrome. And so as our response to that, we started looking at where can we get Brooks the best care long term for him. And the Mounds View School District was the first thing Allison saw in a Google search. So we started looking for a home in Mounds View, not quite sure what God was up to. Ultimately, we fell in love with Shoreview and fell in love with the region. And God moved in a big way and got us into a home in Shoreview, where we never expected to be. I thought I was gonna be cool and live in the city. And so here we are now in the suburbs and starting to see in different ways, why would God have brought us out here? And now one of the big ways we see that is we're gonna start this new location of Hope Community Church North Lakes, up in that north suburbs region. And it's so cool to look at Brooks and think about who he is and how thankful we are that God brought him into our lives, but then also how God used this hard and beautiful thing as we go through it to bring us into this context and to call us into this area to now serve him in a way we never expected or saw coming, but are really thankful that he's done in our lives. In my time in LBI, I remember taking the hermeneutics class and looking at the big storyline of Scripture. And it kind of gets to this point where you get to in Ephesians 3. Like it says that God actually wants to show off his manifold wisdom, and you wonder, how does he want to do that? And the Apostle Paul writes, through the church. There's something miraculous about God's plan that first he sends Jesus, then he sends his Spirit into people that he gathers into churches, and then he equips them and sends some people out to advance his gospel. And it blows me away when you think, how does God want to show off his glory? He says, through the church. God seems to want to use his church to start new churches to reach more people with the gospel. The ironic thing about all of this is we can't look at these then though and say, oh, that's a hero story. Because look at who God's using. Very ordinary people all throughout the book of Acts and all throughout Hope's history. Very ordinary people have been sent out by Hope to reach more people with the gospel. It isn't these spiritual superstars, and you can't just sit there in the pew and say, oh, I could never be me, I could never go with the team, I could never be a part of something like this. Because God, by his grace, loves to grab ordinary people and show off his glory.